Hi guys, if you want to make a Turnitin assignment, you're going to need to go into one of your classes and then go to the bottom of whatever unit you want to add an activity or resource into and click on add an activity or resource. This will bring you to the list of a plethora of options that you can build into your Moodle page. The one that we want to do is Turnitin assignment 2. There's two ways you can build a Turnitin assignment. You can actually do it through the regular activity or assignment module, and then you can add the Turnitin plugin. But most teachers tend to use this Turnitin assignment too because the end user interface is a little bit easier. So I'm going to add one of those, and it will take me to the main page where I need to fill in all my information. First thing I need to do is name my assignment. So I'm going to name this the paper number 2. If I add a summary, this can be displayed on the main page or not. I can also attach a document like the instructions for this assignment or something like that. I'm going to leave the settings on file upload one part unless you're having them turn in like a rough draft and a final draft. Maximum size 2 megabytes. Allowed submission of any file type, no. Display originality report to students, yes. If you've never made one of these assignments before, it'll be set to no, and you need to change this to yes. Show grades as a fraction, and then yes, automatically refresh originality scores and grades. Once you've set those all up the first time, you can click this, which will make sure that going forward, all of those values will be defaulted on any Turnitin assignment that you do. The next thing that we need to update is the grade. We're going to keep the type as a point, and we're going to change the maximum grade. So this is what you are going to have populate into RunWeb. So if it's a paper, it might be 100 points, might be 75 points, might be 50 points, up to you. And then you can categorize it. Currently, I don't have any gradebook categories set up in RunWeb for the new year. But once you have those set up, you'll see, labs and quizzes, papers, assignments, and tests, and choose which category you want this assignment to fall into. If you don't categorize it, this grade won't be dropped into RunWeb, so you need to make sure that you select that. After that is grade to pass. Most teachers don't use that, but if this is something in which, it's kind of like a pass-fail assignment, you need to get above a 50 in order to pass this assignment, then you might put 50 in there. Underneath that, we're going to name the assignment again. So I'm going to say it's paper number 1 again. And here's where I'm going to change the start date, due date, post date. So the start date is the date which you will start accepting assignments from the student. Typically, this date that you're working on this will automatically populate, so you can just leave it there. And then you need to change your due date. It's really important that you do select a due date with the correct time, because after this closes, depending on your settings, it could be closed off to students forever. So if I wanted it due, the 9th at midnight, I'm technically going to do the 10th at 00:00. And then post date is actually according to Turnitin when your grades will be posted. That really only matters if you're going to be grading through the Turnitin document viewer. And then last thing, I'm just going to make sure my max points lines up same as up top, so 75 points. And now here's where it's pretty important. This is where you have the choice to see what this paper will be, compared against. So the first thing, allow submissions after the due date. I actually leave this on yes, because if a student was sick or if a student, was absent or something happened, I just don't want to have to go back and create an exception for them. So I do allow submissions after the due date into Turnitin.com. Next thing, this is your decision what you want, but this is when it will generate the report. I would choose one of the top 2 in that students can see their report immediately and teachers can see it immediately. If you don't have it until the due date, then there's no way to kind of recover if a paper was turned in that had a high, percentage of material used. I like to use the middle one in which students can resubmit. Let's just say a student submits a paper and they have, a lot of block quotes. So it looks like they are using a lot of material. They can see that and then can be encouraged to use less block quotes and then can resubmit their paper. Student papers always need to be stored in the standard repository. That way their papers will be compared against other students from past years and from future years. Check against stored student papers. Yes. Internet. Yes. Journals, publications. Yes. I do not exclude the bibliography or quoted material. I do think even if they quote it, it's important to show how much quoted material they're using and how much original material they're using. And then the last thing is exclude small matches. Some teachers will put like 5 words in here. I think that's too many because that will be a whole sentence that has kind of flown under the radar. So maybe 3 or 4. I definitely wouldn't ignore much more than 3 or 4 words. Underneath that, grade mark options, we don't really use that. That's if you want to grade through the Turnitin viewer, which is actually pretty cool. There's some preloaded rubrics based on students' grade levels, like, you know, the Common Core standards, or if a 6th grade argumentative paper, things like that. But you have to grade through the actual Turnitin viewer. Underneath that, availability, we're not going to change anything here. Restrict access, you only need to restrict access if this is only for one particular class. So if only period B is doing this assignment, then you can add a restriction so that none of the other classes can come in. You don't need to update tags and competencies, and so that'll be it. We're then going to save and display, or save and return to course. And I just quickly want to show you what it will look like once you have assignments turned in. So for example, in this test paper, when I come in, I can see that one student has submitted a paper. Unfortunately, they had 100% similarity, so that's a problem. They turned in someone else's paper. It was me. To see more details, I can click on that and it'll take me to the Turnitin document viewer, where I can click on the originality report to see that that was actually a paper submitted to Valley Christian. There was also material used from ACSI, etc. I can also make some comments, voice comments or text comments. I can leave editing marks inside of here. So Turnitin is actually a very cool, useful tool for you guys to use.